Welcome back to the second segment of the Tax Time Show. In this episode, viewers, we are actually getting a lot of information that we need to know about EIDL from Mr. Ajay Kumar of Sai CPA Services. And I just want to let you know that if you have any questions, please feel free to send us an email. TaxTime@tvasiausa.com. Things get a little confusing for all of you and for all of us, and that's why Mr. Ajay Kumar is there to answer any tax related question you have, whether you are a personal tax filer or corporate tax filer. Do send us an email, taxtime@tvasiausa.com. Ajay ji, before the break, I asked you a question that both of the loans were put in during this pandemic. Why different set of rules? And even if it's a different set of rules, there should be no conditions attached to it.
Well, yes and no. So PPP is a free money given out to small businesses. There are a lot of small businesses who do not have payroll. Consider a real estate company. They don't have any payroll and they did not qualify for any PPP program. Should we just exclude them, not give them anything?
No.
They are also suffering.
Yes.
They are not getting the rents. If you look at a lot of landlords, they are not able to collect the rent from the tenants, and they did not qualify for any PPP funding. So EIDL is complementing, and you have to take a step back. When we started this PPP in February, March, we were expecting this coronavirus situation to last for a few weeks. You quarantine for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and everything will be okay. That was the mentality. 5 months later, 6 months later, coronavirus is still here. So government had to come up with a new set of rule, new principle, new loan to complement what the government already gave. So EIDL loan in many businesses, for the small businesses under 10 employees, under 15 employees, is a much larger amount than the PPP loan. It's a loan, it's not free money, but this is very cheap loan. If you take a huge step back, under EIDL, you get a loan for 30 years at 3.75%. For non-for-profit company, it's even cheaper, 2.75%. You don't have to make a single payment for the first year. No interest, no principal. Where else can you get a loan, a business loan, with no personal guarantee, no personal financial statement, no business tax return for 30 years at 3.75%?
That's Uncle Sam.
That's
Uncle
the government
Sam
can
is
only
out
afford
there
to do
exactly
it.
to help
Government
you out.
can do such loans, nobody else can do these kind of loans. So this loan was supposed to complement, but the idea is we want to support the business, a cheap loan. When you're giving something free, you want to make sure that this money is going to the right audience, right people.
Yes. Here's my question. If I have gotten PPP loan, can I still get EIDL?
Absolutely. As we said, this is complementing the PPP. A lot of small businesses got the PPP and the money was used in 2 months. The coronavirus was still here. So government had to encourage these small businesses to find another source of money. We can't afford to give everything for free, but cheap money is good. And this discourages people who are just trying to grab free money. EIDL is not free, you have to return it, but it's nonetheless, it's cheaper than the market. As long as you follow certain guidelines, it's cheap money that you can use for the business.
Okay, so now let's let's look into PPP and EIDL. Let's go in a little bit of detail. EIDL, what are the things that it cannot be used category-wise?
That's a great question. We know what you can do with this money. We know this money is for the business expenses. We know this money can be used for the rent, mortgage, utility, even the office expenses, employee salary. Let's focus on what you cannot do with this money.
That's good. That's most important
right?
to know.
So first thing first, you own the business. You cannot increase your own salary. You're not allowed to increase your own salary to use this money. You have large credit card bills, personal or business. The question we are getting in the market, hey, I have a lot of credit card bills for the business piling up from prior period. Can I use this money now so I don't have to pay interest? But this expense is not for this period. This expense was accumulated from a prior period. You are not allowed to use this money. If your business was able to survive earlier without this money, now you need to use this money for this period's expense only. You are not supposed to take a distribution. You cannot really say, well, we have $100,000 in the bank and my mortgage company is giving me a hard time. Can I withdraw $10,000, $20,000 and pay the mortgage company? No, the distributions are not allowed. Dividends are not allowed. You cannot really give dividend to yourself or to employees. The bonus is not allowed for yourself. So anything that can be that you wouldn't do, anything that can be seen favoring yourself or the business owners in this example, anything that can be seen biased, anything that's seen as it's not business as usual, it's not something that you would have done in a normal course of the business, that's not allowed here.
If somebody used it for personal reasons without knowing, let's give them a benefit of the doubt, without knowing if they use it for personal reasons, and what's the worst it could happen?
Well, the worst comes in the picture when we say somebody intentionally misused the money. That's when the worst comes.
They're going to return the money anyway.
Well, right, but the government could have used this money for somebody else. Somebody else was suffering, everybody was suffering. If you are not suffering, you should not be taking this money. And if you have this money, you should not be misusing this money. But hypothetically, if somebody ended up misusing this money and not knowing about it, then you can put this money back. Now you know. So not knowing the rule is not an excuse. You can't really say, I did not know, I was supposed to file the taxes, that's why I did not file the taxes.
So what's the best way that you can track the use of EIDL money?
That's wonderful. So all the money that you got, whatever you got, and maximum is $150,000, you put it on your balance sheet as a liability, as if you took somebody's loan. Whatever money you use, you track it separately. What did you do with this money? We are hoping, and it's not final, we are still waiting for the HEROES Act, the HEALS Act. We are hoping part of this money can be forgiven. We are talking about it. There is stimulus package coming up. So as PPP money was free, why can't we have some part of it, 1,000, 10,000, some part of the EIDL loan can be forgiven. That's there. But the key here is whatever expenses are being paid through EIDL, you need to track them separately. This is the rent, this is the mortgage, this is the lease payment, this is the salary amount, this is the credit card bill. And again, credit card bill from a prior period is not a fair expense, is not a valid expense here.
Even though it's used for business purposes.
Exactly, that's the whole idea. Let's say, for example, you owe a lot of taxes, even though it's a business tax from a prior period.
Yes.
You cannot use this EIDL money to pay for the prior taxes.
What if you bought some kind of materials through your credit card for your business?
If you bought this material in the last year, then it's not this expense that you have to.
Only if you bought it after February, March or something like that.
Well, if you bought this material to sustain the business, let's say you had to buy some paper supply, some ink supply, that's fair. But if you bought some supply last year and you owe this money on your credit card, that's not a fair expense for
Okay,
EIDL.
good to know. So we're going to take a pause here because what information that you've been giving out, I think our viewers need to digest it a little bit. But this is not the end of it. When we come back after these messages, we actually have more on EIDL coming your way. So please stay with us.